on this computer. So yeah, so thank you for joining me on my little like passion project.
I love a passion project, of course.
Yeah, and I think we all discovered little passion projects during COVID, and this was mine
Yes, we did.
because I needed to stay inspired by people's journey. And
Amen.
your journey,
Oh.
sir, is something to be like North Star type
Oh,
journey.
thank you.
Yeah. So I'm super grateful for you to share your stories and the people that kind of helped you along your way. So one, welcome to my very cold and hometown. I'm
Well,
so sorry it snowed.
I would say thank you, but I'm like, oh, no.
I'm so sorry.
I'm such a Cali boy, I'm just not used to cold, and I was born and raised in LA, and so this is not what I'm used to, but
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll find the little glimmer of, hope coming, heat, something coming right now.
It
Soon.
won't last long. That's
All
what
right.
I can say. It
All
will
right.
melt. It won't last long. How long are you here in Toronto for?
I'm here till August.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So it won't last long.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna take, because somebody told me 2 weeks ago that I'll start feeling the temperature change. And today it was snowing. I was like,
They didn't tell you that it was
okay.
going negative.
Oh yeah. They didn't tell me which way it was going, right? They said it was going down.
So rule of thumb, my father always says it's not spring until May 15th, because at any point it can snow, but beyond May 15th, you're in the clear. So if you keep that in mind.
Yeah. So today is just 15 days, so we're another month. Thank you.
3.5 weeks.
Wonderful.
Anything goes. Anything goes. You can have summer and winter. Anything goes for the next 3.5 weeks.
I'm like, great. Yeah, this is wonderful. It's all good. Yeah.
Oh, I love it, Jamal. Thank you so much. So my first simple, really beautiful question is, when did dance enter your life?
I don't remember the exact moment because I was really young. My family, they would throw parties, and the earliest memory that I have is dancing at one of my mom and dad's house parties that they were having. And I remember they would say, come out and do those splits. And there was a song called Me and Mrs. Jones. And on the part where they go, me, yeah, I would split down into the split, Mrs. And I would perform, and everybody would clap. And, and so that's the earliest memory of dancing, was just like family dancing, social dancing when I was a kid, and loving that and being addicted to the applause almost, like.
I mean, it is nice.
Yeah. That's what I loved it. I was like, call me out anytime. Yeah.
So did you, besides the social dances, which I think a lot of Black folks in the States, especially, that's beginning of it for them. For the Caribbean, it's carnival. For us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just there, kind of innate. Like you just do that.
Absolutely.
Did you ever take any formal training when you were younger? Did you have any inspirational teachers?
Yeah, no. So I didn't. I think I was 11. My cousins, three of my female cousins, they went to a performing arts school. Not like Fame, but it was like you go to regular school, then after school you would go to take dance, but it was really expensive. And my mom was like, how much? No. But I begged her, and she's like, okay, we're gonna go. And we went, and I took a dance class. And honestly, I felt like Leroy from Fame, because I came in just wild and arms everywhere. And it was like I think it was like a jazz class, right? And I was just getting through it. I was faking it till I made it, and then after class, the teacher said, yeah, I'll take him in, but he's gonna have to put on a pair of tights. Like he's gonna have to wear tights. And at 11, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't put on the tights. I was the only boy, and I just felt I was already insecure. I was tall, I was thin, you know what I mean? And then you had to put on these tights, and I was like, no, because it was just a thing, right? And I had to go back home and tell everybody whatever. So I wish that was a bad mistake. I wish my mom would have said, no, you putting on the tights, we're going, but she didn't want me to feel uncomfortable. So
No.
I
That,
opted out. And so I didn't train until after I started dancing professionally.
oh, wow.
Yeah. So
That's super interesting.
yeah, and even that, I don't feel like, I would take classes, but I don't even think that I gave that 100% because by then I was already making money. You know what I mean? So it was kind of like, well, do I need to go to classes? And yeah, I should have gone to classes, but at that point, when you're 19, 20, you're making that kind of money and you're traveling the world and you haven't taken classes before, you're kind of like, well, I'll get that in a minute. You know what I mean? So that was kind of my thinking. Not good, but yeah, that's the real.
That was the truth. It's just where
That's
you
my
were at.
yeah,
And to be fair, there are some dancers out there that's just natural to them.
yeah,
They've never needed
absolutely,
formalized training
yeah.
in any way. And so you're just one of those people.
And
So
as, and as a choreographer, I'm kind of glad that I didn't because I think a lot of my choreography reflects that, like a little bit of rawness, but then you know what I mean, like it has still. And I sometimes I do believe that class can take that out of you if you are not aware of it. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you can get so by the book and say, oh well, no, you can't do that. And I'm like, but who says you can't do that? And they said, well, we were taught this way. I'm like, but that's movement is, you know what I mean? Like we need to create movement. I don't want to go by what somebody else is saying. So, so yeah, so a little piece of me was, it's kind of glad that I didn't, but then a big part of me is like, I should have, so, you
right.
know, yeah.
No regrets though. No regrets.
Yeah, no regret at all. No,
No
no, no,
regrets.
no.
So I know at 17 you danced in the iconic video, remember the
Hey,
time with
hey.
with Michael Jackson. So like what kind of impact did that make in your life?
Um, that was it was really incredible because he was my icon. So I mean, not my icon, my yeah, it was, he was somebody that I looked up to.
Mhm.
And I studied Michael from when I was a kid, watching Soul Train and him doing Dance Machine. Like that was the person I wanted to be like. And when I saw The Wiz in '79, I actually have a tattoo of Michael as a scarecrow on my arm because that was the thing that took me like I want to do that. And so anyway, so for my first job to be with Michael was just like, it was like a full circle because I feel like he started me wanting to do that, and all of a sudden at 17, I'm dancing with him. So it was incredible, and just to watch his work ethic and to be of something, be a part of something so kind of legendary. It's like,
Not kind of. It's
yeah.
a legendary piece of choreography. I have worn out VHS tapes trying to
Let me
learn
tell
that
you.
choreography.
Let
So
me tell you. Every time that song comes on, I remember every step. I'm like,
I
oh,
bet.
take me back. So yes, it's nice to be a part of history.
Did did you audition for it? Was there someone that said,
Oh yeah.
ah, so
Oh
you went
yeah.
through the whole process?
It was in the paper actually. The audition was put in the paper, and I drove from where I lived in Rancho Cucamonga to LA and auditioned, and it was thousands of people. There was people out in the street, and you're trying to get your number, and I was pushing my way through, and yeah, and Fatima Robinson was the choreographer, and yeah, so she actually gave me my shot to be in the video.
Were you the youngest?
I think I was probably one of the youngest, definitely.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I was brand new, like literally just coming in on the scene. And to be
Had you ever filmed any music videos at that point?
no,
Oh, wow.
yeah, that was my first job, period, as a dancer.
Oh, wow. Well, well, that bar was set like, woo.
Yeah, and then it's all downhill after that, straight to the bottom right after that. Yeah, I was like, okay, I'll start here and I'll just go down after that. Yeah, can't go no higher.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you can,
Yeah, no,
but
it's hard. It's hard.
that's amazing. So you danced, you toured, and then when did you find your choreographic voice? And were there people in the room that helped you do that?
Yes. So I was dancing, and uh, me and my partner at the time, we were assisting a lot of people at that point, like just different choreographers, and really learning from them, and I think it was a point where we had done so many videos where this is kind of like a natural thing where choreographers will have you assist, and then before you know it, they're so booked, you're actually doing the job, right? They're not even there. They don't even show up, and you're actually doing it. And what happens is the artist starts to become uh, comfortable with you, and the directors start to become comfortable with you. And so they'll call you directly. But what we were always made sure that we were respectful, that we would say, well, we're the assistant to whoever the choreographer was, and we would like to call them and see if they would mind us doing it. And that's what happened. We called and said, hey, they want us to do this video, and one of the choreographers was like, sure, go. And that was our first video, and Frank Gatson was one of the people that really helped us get on as far as choreographers, and back in the early days. And he kind of just let us fly after that.
He's been a Spacemaker for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear his name come up quite frequently.
Yeah, no, he's definitely that person who he kind of sees talent and helps shape it and mold it, and then he allows you to fly, and it was beautiful. Yeah.
It's those people. I'm finding that those people are also quite rare. Right?
Yes.
You don't feel threatened, who aren't, who really are like, who are true mentors. And true mentors. So that's
absolutely. And I always try to remember that, because I always want to make sure that I give people the opportunity as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it a little dark in here? Should I put on some light?
Sure, if you want, I can. Yeah, sure.
Do you mind it?
No, not at all.
Okay, I mean, it feels like because the light's going down outside.
Yeah.
What this is gonna give right here. I can actually do this.
There you go. Yeah.
Is this okay?
Yeah, that's good.
It can be different than the earth, but
it's fine. It ain't that serious. And it's one of those things where for the podcast, more than likely I'll use clips of videos, but really it's about just listening. So yeah, no stress. So I guess that leads us to what was your first choreographic job? Was it the Prince video? Was it Usher's "You Make Me Wanna," or was it something?
That was it. It was the Usher "You Make Me Wanna."
All right. And who was it? Was it Frank who opened that door? And then what was that process like, choreographing your first music video?
It was definitely Frank that opened that door, and Billy Woodruff was the director, and everybody just kind of embraced us as the choreographers, me and Rosero McCoy, and it was incredible, like just to be able to see. And funny enough, I think we finished the video, and we got a call that they might not release it because they weren't really hot on the choreography of the video, the record company. And I remember I was so disappointed. Like, I remember being like crushed, because I thought that it was so cool that we had done something that was like, really kind of groundbreaking at the time, because we had done this thing where we take off the shoes, and we were like, oh, that's gonna be it. Well, it was it. It was about to be it. But from what I understand, that one of the powers that be came downstairs, and their kids were doing the dance steps from the video, and he was like, release the video now. And then the video kind of just went, so
kids, man.
What's where it's at. They'll tell you. They will let you know if it's a slam it or jam it. One of the two.
Yep. And fast. That's a great story. That's awesome. And Usher was pretty young then. So what was that? Were you guys close? Were you guys close in age at that moment?
No, Usher was 17 and I was like 26. So I'm like 10 years
Okay.
older.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're 10 years older. Okay.
Yeah.
He
And
was a baby then, yeah.
he was really young. And so it was nice. It was nice. We worked with him when he was really still finding his voice as who he
Mhm.
was as a performer, as an artist. And his music was, just he was getting into his Usher music, and yeah, still kind of finding his voice, and it was really cool to be a part of that early on, and then to see where he went,
Right.
afterwards was really cool. Yeah.
That's great. Um, I actually was just curious, did you ever choreograph for theater, or was Rent with Neil Patrick Harris your only like
That was it.
theater job?
That was it. Yeah. But I love theater. Like I love theater. But because I'm on the West Coast, it's not really available to us like that. Usually when shows come in, they've already been choreographed if they're playing at the Pantages or whatever. So it's not like it's on our. Actually, let me rewind. My job in general is not on the board. Like a choreographer was never something that we saw at the school fair, the job fair, or anything. I really didn't know that choreography was an actual occupation until after I graduated. Honestly, I didn't know that was a possibility. So I feel like now that with that same thing with Broadway is like I didn't have the opportunity to cross paths with anybody that was choreographing for Broadway. So I
Right.
think that um, when Neil Patrick Harris asked me to do it, I was like, absolutely, yes, I'll do it now. And we only had 7 days to put it all together, the
Oh
whole.
wow.
And so he was like, okay, yes, let's do it, but you only have 7 days. And I was like, all right, let's go. I'm so used to doing
Yeah,
stuff with limited time because TV is all limited time.
right. That's so fun. Well, I hope that door gets open, because I think
Me too.
Broadway and you need to have a conversation.
We need to meet.
We need
Yeah,
to meet,
absolutely. We got
have
some
some
things.
coffee.
Absolutely. We got some things to talk about.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So then what was your journey in choreography and film? Like, how did you go from music video to film? What was that journey like? Yeah.
It was kind of, I always feel like it's like a little bit of a natural progression because I think as choreographers, we're not everybody is a director, but a lot of us see things in the bigger picture as
Mhm.
opposed to storytelling through movement. And I think that that's really important because when the words on the page stop, the dance continues the story and it tells the story through movement. And that's what we are doing. We are actually creating a vocabulary that's taking us from one point of the story to the next. And so we're directing, that's it. And so as I was doing more films, I was like, I really would love to do the whole thing because right now I'm being very like, okay, I'm just contributing to this part of the story. I want to contribute to the whole story, and so that's when I started to get into directing. And it was right around Step Up when Step Up 1 first came out. Not I did all of the Step Ups, as
Mhm.
you know, but I think dance in those movies are the main characters. So really, my job was doing the whole thing. As far as choreography, I was really
Mhm.
telling the story because dance plays such a big major part in those movies. So I just was like, I just want to direct. This is what I want to do. And so I felt more comfortable. I actually feel more comfortable directing than I do choreographing because I feel like I'm blinded by what everything else is going on around it. But if I'm directing, I know everything. I get the bigger picture. Yeah.
Nice. Was there anyone that really um, helped you embrace that path in terms of choreographing for film specifically?
Yeah, John Chu, who he did Step Up 2,
Mm.
really helped me. I'm sorry, really helped me understand what that meant as a choreographer to direct more than just the dance, because of course it's the dance, but then there's actually a story in this. You can't just pay attention to just what you know as a dance. You have to tell a story, a complete story. So John Chu really, he had just graduated from USC at the time, and he came on to do Step Up 2. So I think he and I really kind of piggybacked off of each other. So I learned a lot from him in that process of doing Step Up 2, Step Up 3, and have gone on to work with him and
Mhm.
other.
Yeah, he's a name on your, I was gonna ask you his role in your life, because he comes up quite frequently on your resume. So I know that there's a connection and a partnership there.
For sure. Yeah, he's awesome. Like even till this day, like he'll jump on a call with me to, like just he's a great guy.
Oh,
Great.
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Um, so then in that case, where does MSA agency fit in your journey? Like, how did they help shape and mold that
So,
path for you?
so funny enough, as when I first started choreographing, Julie McDonald and Tony Selznick were a part of a agency called Kazarian Spencer, right? KSA. And then Kazarian Spencer ended up closing, and then they opened up MSA. But at that time, we had already went with another agency because we knew that they were closing, and we went with another agency. And so I didn't know that Tony and them. So by the time they opened up MSA, we were already with somebody else. So then the opportunity came where Tony and Julie came and talked to me, and they were like, "We would love to have you if you want to come over." And I had been with them as a dancer for so long back in the day. I really felt like we've known each other for years. So I've been with them for the last what 4 or 5 years, and it just feels so comfortable and natural. We just
Mhm.
we have a history.
No, those relationships are really important. More important than we realize. We hear them in Oscar speeches, but we don't realize the names. They're like, it's
Yeah,
a bunch of names, and nobody knows like how
yeah,
instrumental they can be in making sure that you're getting seen by the right people,
right.
in the right rooms and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah, they play a big role in even just being able to call them and bounce ideas off of, and them being in the business for so long. Julie was one of the first dance agents ever, period. You know, and so her experience is and the people that she knows is just really valuable as a artist, just to hear those stories. And yeah.
that's very cool. Um, so on to your directing, which
No,
clearly you love. So let's talk about like was I know you said it's sort of like a natural progression, and it's true. Where as choreographers, you're storytellers first. It's just in a different medium, just using a different
yeah,
language. But
yeah,
directing your own film, like When the Beat Drops or a documentary, like that's a very different experience. So talk to me about like who you leaned on in those moments.
yeah.
What was it, especially when the beat drops, like that's a baby. And so like, who did you lean on for that mission? And what was that like okay, I'm a director now.
Yeah, for sure. That you talking about passion project, that was my passion project. So I had been wanting to do this film about these guys in Atlanta that are doing this particular dance style, bucking, which is also known as J setting.
Mhm.
I've been wanting to do it for over, shoot, 15, 20 years. They've been on my mind. And so how the story in your head that just won't go away. And they usually say that anything that you feel that won't go away, those are the things that you need to be doing. I truly believe that. And so once I did a music video for Shoshana Bean, and we did this music video, and my uh, producer, Jordan Finnegan, like, he was like, "Man, that went so well. Let's do something else. Like, you need to keep going. Like, don't stop. Don't go back to choreography. Let's keep you on this directing path." And so I said, "Well, I really wanted to do," and I told him about these guys in Atlanta and the idea that I had, and he was like, "Well, let's go do it." So within 2 weeks, we were down in Atlanta
Who is
trying to,
this lovely person?
his name is Jordan Finnegan.
Jordan Finnegan. We love
Yes,
him.
yes,
Right.
yeah, at Visceral Entertainment. He, yeah, we were down there. We found some guys that that weren't interested at all. But I told them that the reason why I wanted to make this documentary and why it was important, and so finally they were like, okay, yes, let's do it. And then once we shot a sizzle, I went to World of Wonder, who I work on with Drag Race. The producers Randy Barbado and Fenton Bailey, who I've known for years. And I showed them. I was actually on the show, and I was just going, and I had my trailer with me, and I was like, "Hey, I want you guys to check this out. See if you guys would be interested in coming apart." And they were like, "Absolutely, let's go." And Tom Campbell came aboard. He's also executive producer on the show. And then we took 5 years to make this movie.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it was going to be 5 years. I thought we were going to turn it around in a year, but these things take time. And so
Mhm.
that's one of the biggest things that, with Jordan, as my producer, he really made sure that we kept this ball rolling, like it never stopped. And we, every step of the way, he was like, we gotta do more. We have to go back and film in Atlanta. We have to, and every time I would finish a project, I'd come straight to Atlanta, and I have to go to Atlanta, but it was so worth it. I'm, and I'm so proud of this movie. They actually, are doing a DVD release of it this month on April 27th.
Oh, shout out April 27th.
Yeah, April
Sweet. Yeah.
27th. And I'm
All
so
right.
excited that people will be able to own it, and have
Yeah.
it. And because this is something in the LGBTQ plus community that, we don't have that many opportunities to see us represented on screen. And so it's nice to be able to tell different stories. And this is one of them, and yeah, I'm proud of it. So.
Nice, nice. And then directing Step Up, what was that like for you? After being with the series and having this relationship with the series from a choreographic standpoint, stepping into that space, what was that like for you?
Yeah, well, so I haven't directed yet. I haven't directed Step Up yet.
You haven't?
No, no, no,
Oh.
no. But like I said, it's I did all of them, and so I feel like I've done that as far as choreography. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I've been there, I've done that.
Mhm.
So I have some other projects that I'm working on that I'm not able to discuss that I'm going to direct, and as soon as I do it, I will talk to you about it.
You better.
Of course, I will. I will.
Yeah,
I think it's important to kind of
that's great.
hear people where they've come from and transitioning from a dancer to a choreographer to a director. These are all things that I wasn't sure that I was supposed to be doing and didn't know if I should be doing it, but it just felt so natural. And so I would have loved to hear somebody say, "Oh yeah, I did this. Like I did it this way."
Yeah, I think we just see the end point, right?
For sure. Yeah.
And then what gets put on,
Yeah.
IMBD pages.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
don't see the in-betweens, we don't see
No,
the journey, we just see
no.
the shorthand, and so it's
Oh yeah, and the shorthand always looks so much easier, fantastical than it really is. There's a lot of tears and, like they said, blood, sweat, and tears, and a lot of no's along the way. And so you
Yeah.
have to be able to be resilient and pop back and move on.
So so you're directing, but now let's switch over to directing and choreographing for people like Jennifer Lopez and Celine and Madonna. Like that is a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
And those jobs are very coveted because those relationships are very sacred. So who was part of that journey in terms of um, letting you into those spaces? Because not everybody gets there, right? Like it's
Yeah, yeah. It's really funny because I really worked. I was really artist driven when I was doing music videos, when I was
mm,
choreographing and back in those days, like in the early 2000s to like maybe 2008, 7 or whatever, they were doing big budget music videos, $1 million music videos. So we were on set. I was on set with big stars that were in the music music game, you know, so those relationships were built back then.
Ah,
And so they kind of like just kind of naturally progressed into, oh, come do the tour, or come do these TV spots that I'm doing. And so those relationships were built back then. I think now it's a little harder because we don't have that video. The video world, although it's still there, it's hard to build those relationships with the artists because A, they're not spending as much money anymore. So there's maybe one day rehearsal, then the one shoot day, and
right.
good luck if you got it. If you didn't, oh well, we'll cut around it. But back then we were able to spend 2 or 3, I mean, well, 1 or 2 weeks with the artist in the room. And so the more time you spend with anybody, naturally you develop a little more of a relationship. So I think that I'm so thankful that I was able to do that with these artists back in those days. You know, I'm like so old, but yeah.
Yeah. But I understand what you mean. It was a different, like we watch those videos now of Janet in rehearsal or so and so in rehearsal, and you're just like, what was that like? So yeah, because everything's super fast and quick and there's
Kind
very
of
little.
disposable. Yeah, like I feel like people are like they feel like people are disposable now. You know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, we do that. Okay, move on, and then they'll grab somebody else, and that's just not the way it was back then.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. When you were you ever a creative director for any of those artists, or were you just choreographing for them?
Yeah, well, more recently, I mean, I was just choreographing for like Madonna and Jennifer Lopez. I was creative director for her European tour for Jennifer Lopez, and for Miley Cyrus. More recently, like right after the Hannah Montana era, I directed and choreographed her tour, her world tour, and so yeah, so I think like towards the end of that music video eras, I jumped into directing, you know, tours and stuff like
Right
that.
away.
Yeah,
Makes sense. And it's an interesting journey because I think, like you said before, nobody really talks about it. Like
yeah,
nobody talks about that leap to the next thing,
yeah.
and don't know that we can be called, creative directors.
Right,
Or movement directors, or
right.
it's just the next gig, and and we don't cultivate that conversation a lot.
Yeah, yeah. And we need to because see, the thing I know is people will believe what they see. If they see you dancing behind somebody all the time, they'll just say you're a dancer, and that's probably all you can do. And they don't know, as dancers, as actors, as singers, we could do many things. So you have to show them, oh no, I'm not just that. I can do this. But in order to do this, you almost have to build it yourself. You can't expect somebody to just say, oh, he's a good dancer. Oh, he'll probably be a good choreographer. No, I had to go out and gather some dancers together and, you know, feed them and give them a couple dollars to film this little video clip. That, I mean, it's a process, right? It's
Mhm.
like you have to do it yourself. You kind of have to show it and yeah,
And
make
there's
it
a
happen
village, and there's a village of people that help you do that.
for sure. But
Like
if you
those
start,
dancers that come in, you're like, I got some fruit, guys. I got some sandwiches.
absolutely,
I just need you to help me put together this like little reel so I can send it to this theater.
absolutely,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But you have to do it. You have to start it because if you start it, they'll come. The people will. The village will start to assemble. But if you never start it, and if it's only in your mind, like I should do it, you never really put that first little piece of action into it, it won't. You know, because I think so many people get discouraged on say, oh, but then if they do that, then I have to do that, and then this will happen. Well, you don't know what will happen actually until you put that first foot forward, and then you make that first step. Somebody will help you to make that second step, and it just keeps going. And you're like, oh, before you know it, you got the video in your hand. Now you're passing it on, and then you always have to really make sure that you go back once you get there and reach back for the people that helped you get to where you were, right where you are now. And that's what people. That's a step that people totally forget. You know, like
Yeah,
no, you can't go past that. That's an important step.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So how would you describe the difference between being in reality television world and
Mhm.
like movie film world?
Um,
As
uh,
a choreographer, as a choreographer, because you
yeah.
do choreography for Dancing with Stars, So You Think You Dance, and then, well, I feel like Drag Race is a whole conversation unto itself. So I'm gonna leave, I'm gonna pin that.
Okay.
Talking about reality television, yeah.
Yeah, it's time. Because on those shows, you get 2 seconds and that's it. You're lucky, so you don't really have time to kind of look at things and maybe, come back to them tomorrow. And, but with film, because you're working with actors that they need the time. And so they put those dollars in to make sure that you have, I mean, not everybody has a long rehearsal schedule, but it's more than 2 minutes, 2 minutes, two
Mhm.
seconds. You have days that you can just kind of see what feels right on their bodies and see what, to talk to the DPs about shots. But on television, it's like go, go, go. And good luck if they got it or if they didn't, especially these reality TV shows where, it's good if they do great and it's good if they don't do great because then there's another TV, so
Hmm.
it's all pretty you know just hoping for the best when you do those kind of shows. And sometimes you get lucky with a number that goes over amazingly well, and sometimes you and I've been there where you don't do a number, you're like, oh, please don't say I did that. That's happened a lot. Yeah.
Do you, is it two very different I guess two different styles of directing when you're in that space? And do you have directors that you work with reality television that you really are like, they understand who I am as a choreographer, they understand that I have experience as a director and therefore I bring X, Y, and Z to the table?
Yeah. The thing is that when you're working on television, you're stepping into their world. So they've done this with a lot of different choreographers. So Dance with the Stars has many choreographers that have worked on the show. Same with So You Think You Dance or those dance competitions. So it's almost like they're pretty much kind of telling you what you can and cannot do. I mean, you have a little creativity to a point, but they know the beginning and the end of the season. So they know what numbers have been on before. They know what's coming on after you, what's coming before you. So you kind of have to rely on them a lot, as opposed to when you're doing a film, you know, there's there's nothing coming before you or after you. It's just what can we do to make this the best um, uh, capture of dance or performance that we can possibly do. It's just a little different of like the intention behind.
And what's the process of them choosing those choreographers? Like, does someone just, I mean, obviously they know your work because you're a legendary person in the field, but yes,
Thank
wow. But what's that process like? And how do you decide when you say yes or no? Is there somebody that's like, no, 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 you should do that one?
Are
Or
you talking about
reality shows?
reality shows? Like how do they reach out to yeah. So that's really just I believe it's a little bit more of like word of mouth, and if they've seen your work and they'll call agents and ask them, a request, for you or whatever. Um, but I don't like doing those. I mean, it is so stressful to me. And some people really do well at those shows like that.
Mhm.
Those competition shows. Dancing with the Stars is a little different because I think with Dancing with the Stars, you're not in competition with other choreographers. I think on So You Think You Could Dance, although it's an unsaid thing, I think everybody's in competition. You want the best number of the night. So there's another level of competition. I mean, there's another level of pressure that you're put under when you agree to do that show, because you don't want to be the one where they were like, oh, that number's terrible, or the judges tear the number up, or the kids failed. I'm always about, I want these kids to look amazing when they do my work, but I have to remember they're not professional dancers. These are inspiring, is that right? Inspiring dancers,
Yeah,
dancers that are,
aspiring dancers to be, yeah.
yeah, to be. So they're not there yet. So if I come in with this this idea that they can handle this choreography, I'm wrong. I'm setting myself up for failure. I got to come in saying, okay, what can you guys do? How can I make you guys look good? That's when you win. I never really got that formula right. I honestly, I've done the show a lot of times, and I love Jeff Thacker. I love everybody at the show, but I just don't know that I fit with that.
You need more time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need
Yeah.
more time with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, which isn't a bad thing actually, because I find those shows sometimes do the dancers when they come out a disservice because you get all this experience and all this exposure.
Yeah.
And then it's like, now what?
Yeah.
Not like, yes, you might have some relationships with some choreographers and you might assist somebody, but like then you're in the real world at that point, and it's
a different world.
yeah,
It's a different world. Yeah, and I've seen them coming to auditions, and then some people are like, well, they're kind of overexposed. I don't want them in my music video because people know, oh, it should be about me. I'm the artist. I don't want them right behind me, and they'd be like, oh, that's such a, So there is that too. So you kind of have to be careful about how much exposure you have in those kind of places, and I've seen both sides. But then I've seen them go on to be able to teach for millions of dollars per class. And so I don't think they're complaining. And you get $1 for the music video. So anyway.
Right. Right. So let's talk about RuPaul's Drag Race. First of all, like one of my favorite shows. So
me too.
But it's just it's such a different show as far as, because I feel like you're almost coaching.
Yeah.
So well, you said you knew the executive directors from back in the day.
Yeah.
Like music video time. So when they approached you to do this, what was the reaction?
Well, so I worked with Ru in '95, and that's how I met Randy and Fenton, the producers of Drag Race, because they were managing RuPaul, and he was doing 2 weeks at the Sahara Hotel in Vegas, and they were looking for two singer dancers, I'll say. And I don't know how I got the job, but I did. I howled my way through, and that's how we met. and so that was in '95. So that was like,
oh wow.
So I've known them since then, and I've gone on to do the VH1 talk show that Ru did. So when Drag Race came about, they called me on to do, some episodes or whatever. And so it was just like coming back to family for me. It was just like, I've known these people for so long, and Ru's always been so supportive and a friend, like in all of my major crossroads of my career and my personal life, he's always been like there. He'll either call me or he'll tell you he'll pop up. And so I call him the godmother, because that's really how I feel about him. Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And it's, I hope when people listen to this podcast, because you've said it a few times, but like relationships matter.
Oh, God.
Those relationships mattered back then. You didn't, and it's not like you knew that.
No.
At the time, but
they keep coming. I will say, I'm gonna say 85% of my jobs that I get right now are from my relationships over the years.
Could you repeat that for those in the back?
I'm going to say 85% of my jobs come from relationships. Yeah. Because it's really important, and how you show up to the job on time, are you prepared? All of this in this business is about money and dollars and cents. So if you're late, they're spending money, and they're going to look at you crazy, and you probably won't be back the next season or the next episode. So if you're coming in here and you think that you can show up late, or you think you can come in with the number half prepared, it just won't work, and you won't be there again. So I don't, and then also the energy you put off into the room. Nobody wants to be around somebody that's a negative Nancy. Nobody wants to, you know what I mean? So, yes, you might have some concerns, and it's okay to speak your mind and say what you think, but it's how you do it and how you show up that's important. I can say the same thing in a great, easy tone and get the same point across, instead of yelling and saying, what the F is this? And da 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 da. That's it. So it's really important. I mean, some people like that, they still are around, but that's not me.
They're being called out currently. In some
I
spaces.
won't say by name, but yeah, that's not how I get down.
Yeah. There's been some reporting.
I know.
Yeah. So now I'm gonna the rapid fire questions at you. Is there an ultimate space maker in your life? A person that's been part of every single opportunity?
Oh, it's been, oh gosh. No, I've had so many. Honestly, like it would be so hard for me to do that, because at every point, like, like Billy Woodruff as my video, and then I had John Chu and Adam Shankman, and then I had Kenny Ortega, and I've had major people. These are people that are in the business that, that love me, and, I've had these opportunities to work with them. And so I couldn't say one person. I would have to say, and Rue, and, everybody just kind of,
Yeah.
every step. Yeah.
Your ultimate your space makers are your village.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, the ultimate space makers are my mom and dad. That's really, honestly, like, if I didn't have them, I don't know that I would survive this career that I've chosen, because, there's many times that I'm discouraged, and, they're always there to, lift me up and be like, oh boy, you talking crazy. Look what you done did that, so they can always pump me up, and then I'll be back.
So you said that you've been discouraged, but has there been a time that you wanted to quit?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm done. I'm out.
Not so never. I can never quit. There's no that I don't. That's not an option for me. Like, as far as, this is what I was brought here to do. This is my gift. This is what I do. So I've never thought about quitting. Period. I've thought about quitting a particular job. But I still haven't done that. I didn't even do that. I thought about it, but I haven't done that. I've always felt like, in whatever situation, you have to find the golden nugget, as I would say, out of whatever situation you're in. If it's a show that you're doing where you hate the cast or you hate the director, still pull through. There'll be something that you could take away to the next job. Find the good in whatever you're in. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Just finding that.
Silver lining.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And that's important, because if you quit, you might not ever learn that lesson. And you were there because you were supposed to learn it. So you kind of cut it short. So I just say, just go, and then if it comes to the point where you get fired, then hopefully you've got that nugget, and you're like, okay, I'm out. Whatever that was, I'll take that and I'll move on to the next. So luckily I've never gotten fired, but I've never quit either. So
two good things. What's your best bad decision? That decision that you now look back and you're like, "Ooh, I'm glad I did that," but at the time you're like, "This is wrong. This is wrong." It just felt all wrong in your veins, DNA wrong.
Okay, that's a good one. Ooh, jeez. What's my worst bad decision?
What's your best bad decision?
What's my best bad decision would probably be, oh gosh, this is really hard, because I always think of my decisions as being 100% good.
That's great.
Because they've taken me to the next point. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I've always thought that I've made good decisions.
That's
Uh,
great.
yeah, and that's
That's great.
probably
If you don't have one, you don't have one. I'm not mad at you.
yeah. No, because even though, whatever, I still feel like it got me to the next point, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm curious, and this is not a rapid fire question, but in that vein, did you ever turn down a job that you were like, oh,
I've never turned down a job. No,
not one?
no, not one. There's been jobs that I've had to say I'm not available
Yeah.
for because of scheduling. And usually those jobs, if I'm not available, I'll see them and I'm like, I'm so glad I didn't do that. You know what I mean? Now, there's been jobs that I've wanted that I didn't get.
Yeah.
And that's been like, I've sent my stuff in. I'll say I'll come and I'll talk to them. I'll do whatever, and I didn't get it. But again, I always think that rejection is God's protection. So I think that when you don't get something, there's something that your journey, obviously you weren't supposed to be there for. And whatever it is, whether it goes on to be a success or whether it goes on to be a flop, you just weren't supposed to be there for that. And you have to be like, okay, good, I missed something. I don't know what I did, but God was like, go over here and you do this and I'm gonna keep you away from that. And that's okay. You should, I'm okay with that.
Right. Did you have what I like to call a tough love mentor? So like a Simon Cowell, Gordon Ramsay, Anna Wintour. Like, did you have that mentor in your life?
I had, just thinking about it. No, everybody has been really sweet to me. I'm trying. I hate to keep thinking like Jamal. Oh, everything's so sweet, but honestly, I don't. I mean, I've worked with some artists that have been that like that for sure.
Well,
Like,
we're not here to blow up anybody's spot, but
yeah.
you've had that experience.
So just know that yes, maybe all of my every mentor has been really nurturing and kind, and yeah, like with as far as me being an artist, but now the other side of it, those other, oof, that was a whole nother. I've had in those Anna Wintour moments. You know what I mean? Like, did they just say that to me? Excuse moi.
You're like,
You know,
that was me.
like, I know she ain't talking to me because I'll walk right on out. Like, yeah. So yeah. Though I've had bad experiences with people that with egos, and that's just a part of the game. And that's a part you have to navigate and kind of figure out what you'll put up with and what you won't. You kind of have to put your stake in the ground and say, I understand you like this, but you can't talk to me this way. And usually when you do that, they switch. All of a sudden they switch. All of a sudden you've told them you might be able to treat your assistants and everybody else and call them, but that's not going to work with me. And then all of a sudden they're your best friend. And because you've actually stood up to them, what a lot of people don't do in the business. And they're so used to these yes people. And you have to be willing to risk your job because you might do it and they might be like, peace, you're out. I've seen that. But 9 times out of 10, they're just looking for somebody that's going to tell them the truth. And they respect that. And that's what you kind of have to demand from them, because other than that, they will drive.
Boundaries.
Yeah. It's creating that. I know you've experienced that before too.
Oh, for sure. Maybe not as much because I haven't worked with celebrities in that way, but egos are egos in our business.
Absolutely.
Celebrities are not. So
They fly. Yeah.
For sure. And and on that vein, is there a moment that taught you about betrayal in the industry?
Yes.
Without naming any names, obviously, because I'm not here for that.
Yeah, there have been jobs that, yeah, there have been jobs where I've hired close friends that haven't shown up for me when I gave them the opportunity, you know, and because I come from I'm come from a dance background, so a lot of some choreographers have never danced professionally before in their life. They've only went and became a choreographer and jumped into the game. I know what it's like to, you know, be paid pennies and dance for 4 hours on stage. You know what I mean? Like all that stuff. Like I've done that part of it. So I have a special place in my heart for dancers that are still dancing. Like when I moved on to choreograph, there's friends of mine that have kept on dancing that are still dancers today, which is great. But you know, sometimes I've trusted them with jobs and they haven't shown up for me because they still think of me as their peer.
Ah,
That makes sense.
yeah.
And they're like, oh, that's just Jamal. But no, this is my job. And this now I've given you the opportunity and now you've kind of just dismissed me as your peer and you're showing up whenever you want to. And you're like, oh, boy, you know, and it's just like, that's not really cool. And I've had that happen a couple of times before.
Yeah, I think that's a hard, I find that if you're ever a dance captain of a show
Yeah,
or
yeah,
that role where you're like part management,
yeah,
part colleague,
absolutely.
that's a tough
Yeah,
space. And a lot, to have somebody switch that and look at somebody like, now you're my boss.
right.
We were dancing, but we were dancing in, you know, such and such
2 seconds ago.
seconds ago. Yeah, that's a hard transition for a lot of people. I get that.
Absolutely.
Well, my last question for you is, who are you making space for now?
Who am I making space for now? Um, People that I like mentoring. Is
Yeah.
would that be the idea? Yeah.
Yeah.
I did this movie called Aladdin. called
Oh yeah, the one with Will Smith, right? That one.
that old thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little thing called Aladdin, and I couldn't take any assistance to. They were like, no assistance. You have to find your assistants in London. I don't know really anybody in London. I mean, I do know people, but I don't know the scene like that. And I'm like,
Mhm.
oh gosh. So, anyways, after a long search, but then I only had 2 days before I started rehearsals. I needed to find an assistant, and a friend of mine who has his own company, Royston. Or I'm getting Royston's name wrong, but anyways, he has R&D talent agency of dancers over there, and he sent me some dancers. Their links, and I was like, can't really tell off of a link if I need you as my assistant. Like it's
Yeah,
really
that's
hard.
yeah.
But I was desperate, and I was like, here, send me the links, and he sent them, and I came across um, this guy named Nicky Anderson, and he's from Copenhagen. He was 17 years, when he was 19 years old.
Oh,
And I saw his video submission and I was just like, this is the kind of assistant that I wanted. Because at that point in my career, when I did Aladdin, I needed to be inspired again. I just felt like I had done it. I've done a lot, and I just wasn't feeling inspired through movement. And so I wanted somebody that can kind of change the way I thought about movement and just give me more ideas. And because that's how we do. Like, you know, I get inspired by the kids.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And he was youthful and he had that thing. And I was like, oh, this is the guy. And so I reached out to him. He was on vacation and he literally came off vacation, came
Of course he
to
did.
London. Yeah. 3 days later, he didn't have, he had shorts and a little shirt and literally him. And then I had another assistant, Leah Hill, and she was from London and she came in to assist me as well. Those two were just like literally changed my life. Like, and they came in and they killed that job with me. And Leah's gone on; she's doing a production of The Wiz, choreographing herself right now. And Nikki's here with me right now. He went on to do like is it BTS, the group BTS? No. He went on to do this another group with all these kids in it. Now I'm messing up the name, but he's
You're
gone.
aging me. I'm like,
Let me tell you, I don't know either. But he's gone on to choreograph some stuff, some really big stuff. And now he's with me here filming 13 the musical.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so it's really cool to be able to be a part of somebody's journey, and especially when they're talented and they're nice.
Mhm.
Ah, I love that. Yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you for taking some time out with me.
Oh, thank you,
Good
boo.
to see your face.
I miss you. We have to do our coffee. We have to do, I know, like, trust me, you already know what happened today. I'm so sorry. And that's why it's kind of hard for me to say yes, do something, because I don't know what tomorrow is gonna be like. But yeah, I'm glad we got to do this.
I am too. Thank you so much. I know it was a long time coming, but I was like, we're gonna do it. It'll
Thank
happen.
you. Thank you for being
But
patient.
your story needed to be told, and those
Uh,
people that have ushered you into this beautiful career need to be celebrated. So,
Amen. So grateful for
yeah. And that coffee will come after. Well, now that I know that you're here for a much longer
that. Oh
period,
yeah. Oh yeah.
with
We
we're
got
gonna be, I'm gonna be vaccinated and masked, and we're all good.
we're good. We're good. Yeah. Awesome. We'll be safe.
Jamal,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Thank you. All
Stay
right.
safe, and if you need anything, you know where to reach me.
I'll holla.
Especially if you need a winter jacket.
I'll be calling you tomorrow.
Awesome. Have a good night.
All right, you too. Bye.
Bye.